Okay, it's Friday, July 29th. The kiln just got installed after some wiggling and whatnot. Supposed to have 5 inches if I'm going to cone 10 stoneware. We have 4 inches, which is fine for cone 5, 6, 7. Okay. Camera's going. I got my notebook. And I might end up repeating stuff, so I get it on.
Okay.
Let me turn this off. Hey, go off.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, brother. Okay, so let me go. Get the gas, main gas on us.
Main gas on.
Yep. And you can turn this off if you want it to be safe.
Okay.
Where do you live? This valve shuts off the front burners. I know.
All right.
If you doing like this firing in the kiln going up too fast on the low fire, you can turn the gas burners off.
Okay, let me bring the camera around. So.
But that's that's just if you have that glitch.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. If the kiln's getting too hot, we can turn off at the start. We can shut down the front burners.
Yeah, this shuts down the front burners.
Gotcha.
But normally we leave it on.
Okay. And then this is the main gas.
That's the main gas.
And that's off right now.
Right.
Okay.
This is the modulating valve that controls the main gas.
Okay.
This is the safety solenoid.
Okay.
And this is the pilot safety.
All right.
That arrow says on.
All right.
You do that on.
Mm-hmm.
And you got gas to the kiln.
Yep.
So now you open the kiln door.
All right. And when I'm firing, this will be pushed up away. I just have to put another.
You open the kiln door.
Yep.
Always open the door before you start. Then, now, you want me to do this?
Yeah, let's do the
Okay.
setting for
So you
the
turn
bisque, and then we'll do the setting for.
Yeah. Okay, so turn the main power on. You'll see the instrument come on.
All right.
This is a PV. That's the temperature in the kiln. We've had the pilots on.
Okay.
This is the set variable. That's the where you want to go. Right now you're not going anywhere because it's 32 degrees.
Correct.
So
I'm going to come around this side.
Yeah. There's 2 functions on this.
Uh-huh.
We call soak or high limit.
Okay.
If this switch is on soak, then the controller will not shut the gas off via the alarm.
Okay.
And the soak is what we normally use when we're doing reduction firing because we're going to take over manually to do the reduction because this controller doesn't know reduction. All it knows is time and temperature.
I understand that.
So if you want the kiln to shut down at a certain temperature,
like if I'm doing bisque?
yeah, then you would put the selector switch on high limit. Now,
Okay.
if you have the selector switch on high limit and you turn the power on,
Yeah.
you have to press the reset button because that latches in the alarm.
Okay.
And you see the alarm is right here, AL1. When
All
that's
right.
on, that gives you the gas. When it trips, that goes off and shuts the kiln off.
Okay.
Well, I'll show you how that works. So, it's on high limit right now. So,
That's for bisque. So.
okay. So you turn the power on, the soak on. You can see I fooled it. I flipped it over real quick from soak to high limit, and it stayed on.
Okay.
But if you if you don't go fast enough, you'd have to reset it. It won't do that. So send soak. So
All
now,
right.
So now the door's open,
Yep.
and if you ready to start the pilots, you simply push in this button.
All right. Hold it for a couple
You
seconds.
hear the spark?
I do.
Hold it until you get the red light. Get the red light?
Yep.
That means that it's hot. You got fire in the hole. You got pilots on the kiln.
Okay.
So it's not like,
And I still smell a little gas, but that's normal, right?
yeah, well,
Because of the pilots?
yeah. Now, this is not stop and go. This is hot and cold. This means it's hot. If you come by and you see that red light on, that means you got fire going on in the kiln. You got flame in the kiln.
Okay.
If you see it green and it's supposed to be on, then it turned itself off. So something turned it off
Okay.
without you turning it off. So that's an indication. So you say, okay, I'm still hot. It's still red. I'm still going. Okay. So now, if you come over here, you'll see that you just have the pilots on only. And the pilot is down inside this hole.
Okay.
It's very hard to see because the
I
light.
can feel it.
Yeah, it's coming out of that little tube right there in the corner.
Yep.
That's the pilot. Okay, now.
And that'll be a pilot on all 4 burners, right?
4 burners.
Okay.
Now there's no main gas going in there because we haven't turned that on yet. So I'm just gonna.
So the pilot is
That's the
getting.
pilot. Now, if you just put your pots in there and leave the pilots on only,
To candle.
the candle, this kiln will get somewhere in the range of 300 degrees just with the pilots
Oh, really? Wow.
because it's so efficient. This fiber is so efficient that low end is super insulated. Doesn't take much. Look, I have the door open.
Yeah, I think I remember reading
it went
that.
up to 138 degrees already just
Wow.
on the pilots.
Wow.
Now, to start the burners and to start the firing, you must turn on the main gas.
Okay.
Now, when you do that, you got to make sure that the SV is at 32 degrees.
The what again?
The SV is at 32
The
degrees.
SV.
Now,
Okay.
why is that? Because when you turn this on and this comes on,
Yeah.
it's an active controller. It's ready to go.
Okay.
So if I raise this SV higher than 138,
Yeah.
guess what? It's going to come on.
The burners will come on.
Yeah. Wait, I can't see that. It's at 264. Hear them come on?
Yep.
Okay. So you look in here, you'll see the burners. The burners came on. Now it's going to be hard to see these burners because the light. But watch it. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yep.
The burners are on,
Nice.
and it's going to go up to 100. What I have it? 138 degrees.
It's at it's at 145. It's going up pretty quickly.
Watch it. Well, because it's hot. Okay.
What's wrong?
Okay. I want to make sure I get it right. Okay. So, yeah. So it'll go up fast. You see, this fiber kiln, it'll just blast. But when it gets to this temperature, then it'll start cutting back and trying to maintain that temperature.
Okay.
Because that's what this controller does. It's a proportional control.
Okay.
So let's turn this. We need a shade over here. Hey T, is there a piece of cardboard or something we
Right
can
here.
put up here? Put it up.
But
there.
I've got a little umbrella if we need to
Okay.
put
So
that
now
up.
I turn that down to 32, and what that did is that turned the gas off because we're way above 32 degrees, so it's not calling for any gas.
Okay.
However, there is what we call a low fire setting that's on. When I turn that main gas on,
Yeah.
and it's at 32 degrees,
Yeah.
you get what we call a low fire bypass. Let me show you. And that's the burners. They're on low fire.
Okay.
See that little flicker, that little yellow flicker in the burner port over there?
Yep.
Okay. See that right over here? Yellow flicker?
Yep.
Okay. When you start the kiln and you got the pilots going and you're ready to start the firing, you must, when you turn the main gas on, you must confirm that you have the flame in those burner ports.
Okay.
And then close the door.
Then close the door. Gotcha.
So if you're going to pilot just on the pilots, okay, and then you want to start the main gas, you got to turn the main gas on and look in there and make sure you see that flicker in there. See that flicker?
Uh-huh.
And so that means you main burners are on.
Okay.
You're ready to go. I'm going to close this because if you don't, you're going to be heating up this whole area. Okay. So now, make sure the people plugs are in there too.
These.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, that's how to start the kiln,
Okay.
and that's how to, get it going. The pilots and
Okay.
low
So
fire.
so let me refresh. This one is set by PV.
That is the temperature in the kiln. You can't
Oh,
set
this is the one we set, the SV.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the reading of the kiln, the PV.
So the SV, if I'm doing a bisque firing, I would set it to the bisque temperature.
Well, you would program it.
Program it.
We're going to get into that next.
Okay.
Hey T, where's the?
Let me get that little umbrella. Let me pause this for just a
Well,
minute.
we're not going to be able to see what we're.
Okay, we're ready to do some programming.
So now, I remember I was showing you, if you want heat in the kiln,
Yep.
you simply up arrow
Okay.
That raises the SV.
Yeah.
If it goes above the 280, it's going to call for heat.
Okay.
So we don't want to do that. I'm just telling you that's how to do it if you want to
All
do
right.
it. But normally you wouldn't do that. You would do everything programmed. Okay. So now, in this controller, there's two sets of parameters you're going to be using.
Uh-huh.
The first one is MAN, manual,
Manual. Got it.
and it's off.
Okay.
With this manual, you can control the gas via the controller
Okay.
manually. So you would press the select one time,
Uh-huh.
the off blinks, up arrow to on,
Uh-huh.
press the select to enter it.
Yeah.
This is a cycle you use to change the digits.
Okay.
Okay, now, I go back to the main screen by holding the select. I turn the manual on. So this little O means manual override. Now, if the program is running and I turn the manual on, I'm overriding the program.
Okay.
I'm in control. The
Okay.
program's still running in the background, but now I'm in control of the gas.
Because I
So-
switched it there.
So if I open this 20%,
Uh-huh.
it goes by percent.
Uh-huh.
Open this 25%. Now I'm calling for 25% gas.
Okay.
See this little LED right there?
Yeah.
See one? When that blinks, that means the controller is calling for gas.
Okay.
The faster it blinks, the more gas it gives you. Watch, I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to calm it down. See, it's just blinking a little bit now,
Uh-huh.
very lightly. Now, see, 1, 2, 3. And now it's -3. It's closed beyond closed.
Okay.
So that's the manual control. Anytime and the gas is on, anytime you want, you can open and close the gas right here. You don't need to bend over to adjust any gas here. Everything is adjusted by the controller.
So if I'm correct in understanding, that's how I would do my reduction firing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Very good. See, you
I did read the manual, but I'm still putting the pieces together.
You got it. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to take it out. By the way, never start the program when the manual is on because it overrides the program. Program won't go anywhere. So
Okay.
we're going to go back to the manual.
Yeah.
Press the select, no
Uh-huh.
blinky, no changey, down arrow to off,
Uh-huh.
and then enter it. It's off now.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you. Now, down arrow,
Uh-huh.
program off. When you're ready to start a program, we're going to turn this on.
Okay.
Down arrow, alarm. This is the alarm that will shut the kiln off at any temperature if it's on high limit.
Okay.
So do your bisque, you're going to set the bisque temperature here,
And what's the best temperature again?
whatever you want to go, 18, 30. You know, people, there's a range. People go, a soft bisque is like maybe, 17 something?
Okay.
Because Tom likes to do his porcelain at 17 something.
Uh-huh. Oh, so it's depending on the clay body.
Yeah. Most people go 18, 30. Some people go 19 because they want a harder bisque. It's totally up to you.
Okay.
You know, the softer the bisque, the more glaze it soaks up.
Okay.
But it's not as strong. See, it's still fairly weak. Anyway, that's totally up to you. Normally, like 1830 is a all-around bisque temperature. You know. Okay, so if we talk for 30 seconds, it goes back to the main screen.
Okay.
It reverts back. Press the select.
Uh-huh.
Manual comes up.
Yep.
Down arrow, program.
Okay.
Down arrow, alarm. Down arrow, lock. You can lock everything out if you want, so nobody can change anything. But that's only like for a school with the kids coming by and trying to you don't need to do that. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about the lock. So that's in the first set of parameters. That's the main set. So now, go back to the main screen.
Uh-huh.
And if I press the select and hold it in past the manual,
Yes.
you see stat.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing a program firing and you want to see where you are in the program, you press a select, it comes up, it tells you stat, and it'll tell you 1 RP, 1 ST, 2 RP. It'll tell you where you are, the first ramp, the second soak, it'll tell you where you are
Okay.
in the program.
So programs will also do soaking?
Yeah,
Okay.
you do ramp soak. Okay, so now, So, oops, blabbed too long. Okay, so we're going to go back to the stat. That's the status.
Okay.
Right now, the status says off because we're not doing anything.
Uh-huh.
Down arrow, SV1. SV, this U with a line is the V. And that 5, when you're dealing with the digits, I mean the nomenclature, it's an S. SV1.
Uh-huh.
That's the set variable for the first ramp. Now you need, before you do anything, any kind of program, you write this down in the manual. It gives you like a little scenario. You write it down.
Okay.
'Cause you'll never, don't do it by memory.
Yeah.
Always have the paper in front of you. When you're programming, have the paper in front of you. What you want to do, SV1. Okay.
So I do the programming of
Yeah.
SV1.
Let's say you want to go to a bisque firing. Let's say you want to do 1,000 degrees to go up slow to 1,000 degrees because that's where your course inversion is, about 1,000 degrees. So you would put 1,000 in here.
All right.
Oops. Sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't blinky. So you press this. The digit has to blink before it changes.
Okay, because
If
that's
it-
what
if-
sets the programming.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because okay. So let me stop this blinking now. When I forgot to get it blinking and I got ahead of myself.
Uh-huh.
So I pushed the up arrow key. I went back in the parameters, and so I can go down to all the to go through all the parameters.
Uh-huh.
So if I want to change SV1, I have to press the select. It has to blink. No
Okay.
blinking, no changing.
Has to blink on the arrows if you
Uh-huh.
hold it. Got it.
So now I'm going to bring this up to 1,000.
Okay.
So you can do any programming you want, but this is normally what we would do. And the faster you hold it, watch it starts blasting up there.
Yeah.
Went over. It goes ones, tens, and hundreds. So we're going to 1,000 degrees. Now, I like to do a real slow bisque because the slower you go, the less you're going to
Blow things up. Yeah.
So
Which
that's
is
the-
what I'm going to have to do because, in a sense, I'm going to have kids doing workshops here, people who don't know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah,
so.
keep them away from here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now you've got 1,000 degrees, that's 1,000 degrees. Now, that's the temperature.
Yeah.
Now, this is the time. The big R is T, the big N is an M. Time in the first ramp. So, you're going to 1,000 degrees, how fast do you want to go? 100 degrees an hour.
Okay.
Blinky, 100 degrees.
And that's considered a nice slow climb, correct?
Yeah, which would be 10 hours.
Okay.
So this gives you the total time. So it's 10 hours. The hours and minutes.
Got it.
See a little dot?
Yep.
10 hours. So that's 100 degrees an hour. Now, you can do this anytime. You can do this overnight if you want.
Well, I'd probably want to be here while
Yeah.
it's firing,
Yeah,
so I would candle all night.
or you can go faster than that, but I'm just showing you one way to do it. And then you don't need to do any soak because 100 degrees an hour is pretty much like a soak anyhow. It's very, very slow.
Okay.
So this is the time in the first soak. So you've got the set variable, which is the temperature.
Uh-huh.
You've got the time to get there, which is the time in the first ramp.
Okay.
And you've got the time in the first soak, which is how long you want to hold that. So those three things are in 8 different segments.
Okay.
Okay, we're at number 1 right now. Down arrow,
Uh-huh.
SV2.
Okay.
You want to go to 1830. Press the select, it blinks. So you bring it up temperature, 1830.
So now we're setting it after 10 hours to do this part.
Then we're going to go, from there we're going to finish off the bisque at the temperature of 1830. Now, of course, you can change this anytime. If you want a softer bisque, just lower the temperature. I think the book says 1830,
Okay.
something like that.
So
Okay.
do I necessarily need the perimeter cones if I'm just firing bisque?
I don't,
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
because the bisque has such a variation. Okay, the time in the second ramp, how fast do we want to go now? We can go a couple 100 degrees an hour,
Okay.
So we're going like 800 degrees from 1,000 to 830. So we can put in like, what, 4 hours.
Okay.
So you put 4 hours in there. Blinky. Now, of course, if you want to go faster up to 1,000, it's totally up to you.
Okay.
Okay, so that's pretty much it, because you don't soak. Normally, we don't soak the bisque. So the rest of these, see, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that's the end. So now your bisque is programmed.
Okay.
So now.
So is it programmed that it always holds, or I have to set this every time?
You have to set this every time.
Got it.
This doesn't have the memory, and one of the reasons it doesn't is because people forget to choose their program when they start the firing, and then
They don't get the results.
no, and it's so easy. See how easy it is to program?
Yeah.
Yes. When it's boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now, if you have this on high limit, when the program ends, it'll shut everything down.
Okay.
But if you want to back up the safety, then you go into the alarm, and you set the alarm at like 1850.
Okay.
So if it doesn't shut off and it keeps going, then the alarm will shut it down.
Okay. And 1850 is still safe range, so it doesn't get over.
Or you can go 18. You can go 1845, something like a little bit over.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do this, because if you're here at the end of the firing and you see it shut down, you want to close that damper anyhow. And that's the next thing. The damper for a bisque should be maybe somewhere around 3 inches.
Okay.
Now, you might be able to close that down a little more than 3 inches. You just have to see what it's doing.
We just want a neutral atmosphere.
Yeah, you don't
right?
want any reduction, so to be safe,
Correct.
you put it at 3 inches.
Okay.
So, that's the programming. Now, when you're doing a glaze firing, if you do a glaze firing and you want to do, of course, if you want to do an oxidized glaze firing, you just put the temperature up to cone 5 and just let it ramp up like you're doing a bisque, and just pass the bisque, go to cone 5.
Okay.
But if you want to do a reduction, normally, okay, what temperature do you normally reduce cone 5?
I don't know yet. I haven't finished reading.
Because the people that I've talked to, they start reduction around 1800 degrees.
Okay.
And so what you would do in that case, you would simply, you could probably use this if you want to go. Well, no, you can go faster. You could go and change the time. So you go into the second set of parameters, which is.
So would I do the first parameter much like the bisque, or would it be more of an increased temperature?
That's up to you. You could go, because everything's bisque and glazed, you could go right up to, 1800 degrees, and then do.
In what kind of time?
Well, that's totally up to you.
Okay.
Here's what I did you do the workshop? No, you didn't do the workshop.
No, I didn't. Did you just have one?
No.
Okay.
No, before. When I used to do the workshops, and this is how I do all my firings. That's a nice cat.
There's 4 over there. Yeah.
Oh, 4 tabbies?
No, there's 4 cats over there.
Oh,
so
there's 1 tabby.
Yeah, the orange one. Yeah, he's got a brother, same coloring, and then there's a raccoon type haired cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tortoise shell. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 dark ones and 2 red ones, and then there's a big red duck hunting something or another dog.
Bug you?
Oh no, I watch her cats and I let her dog out when she's at work.
Okay, so you would program. Okay, what I do at the workshop is I program the kiln to run. I start the kiln firing in the evening when I'm ready to close everything up.
Uh-huh.
Usually that's like 3 o'clock. For you, it could be 10 o'clock at night.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then I leave the kiln on overnight. And I bring it up to 1700, 1800, wherever you want to start reduction overnight. So I say, okay, I'm gonna get this kiln started at let's say 3 o'clock in the afternoon. For you, you probably wouldn't do that because that's when we leave the shop. But when you go to bed, start the clock. And so wherever you start it, so you mark the time. The next morning when you wake up, whatever time that is, that's the time you put in the controller. So let's say you're going to be, let's say 12 hours. So you would put in 1800 degrees.
Uh-huh.
I'll do that for you. Let's say, because they told me that they start reduction about 1800 for cone 5.
Okay.
But I'd say, because I don't know too much about cone 5, but I remember that people telling me that they started about 1800.
All right.
The cone 5 people. So you go 1800 here. Where am I?
And how long would I have to candle on glazeware? Not as long as bisque.
You don't have to.
You don't have to candle?
What you do is just, a couple hours before you start the firing,
Yeah.
just turn the kiln on, with pilots only.
Okay.
You can leave the main gas off, and then shortly after that, a couple hours, then turn the main gas on, and you get the bypass, and that'll bring the temperature up to 500 degrees.
Oh, okay.
And so then, you could sort of like do that in the daytime, so it's nice and everything's dry and all the moisture's out of the glaze and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
If you put wet glaze in there, and you start firing it too fast, what happens?
Just
It'll
explodes.
fall off.
Yep.
Anyhow, so and then it's just on pilots, 1800 degrees, and then this is 10 hours. So you could change that to, let's say you sleep for 8 hours. So you want to, maybe 10, 12 hours. If you start it late at night before you go to bed, because this thing just slowly brings up the temperature. You can't even hear it. Just now, if you're afraid of leaving it on all night,
No, I'm
then
not.
don't do that. Just start early in the morning, bring it up to 1800 in maybe 5-6 hours.
I'm
4.
fine leaving it on all night because
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah. And then so you would set that time, whatever time that you're going to be,
Okay.
whatever dead time, whatever sleep time, you set that in there. And
So
then-
realistically, I could set it. I usually go to bed 9, 10 o'clock. I usually wake up 5, 6 o'clock.
okay, so 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock in the morning is 12 hours.
No, I get up by 5, 6 in the morning.
Oh, well then, you're talking maybe what?
So that's going to be 8 hours if I go to bed 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So I could do that, bring it up in 8 hours,
Yeah,
and then
easy.
fire it off.
Yeah, right. So just put in here in the time, 8 hours, and or you can put even 7 hours. Let's put 7 hours.
Okay.
I'll show you what's going to happen. What? 7 hours. Then now you put a soak time in there, so it's going to be waiting for you. Let's say you overslept or you had an errand to do or whatever. Then you put a soak time in here, and that soak time can be 10 hours, 12
okay.
hours, because it's going to be dead time.
It's just going to hold it at that temperature for me,
yeah,
right?
until you take over manually.
Okay.
So you could put in there a long, whatever, 20, what did I put in there? 28 hours. So now, put the main screen. Now when you're, then when you're ready to start the program, before you go to bed, come over, hold this, go in the first set of parameters, drop down to the program, linky, up arrow, boom, program's running.
Okay.
Now, let me show you what happened. We started the program. The kiln's 322. The SV starts, the program starts at the temperature in the kiln. So now it's 322. It's 322. So now, see, it moved up 1 degree.
Okay.
It's starting to go up. It's in linear scale. It's going to count up. Boom, boom, boom. It's so cool because you can't do this. A human can't do this. And so now this is like 1 degree. Nothing's going to happen. But if it starts going above that, a little more temperature, this will start blinking and the gas will start coming on to maintain that temperature just ever so slightly.
Okay.
It just sips the gas. It's not like that stupid on-off. Not that at all. You will save a ton of gas with this thing. You cannot do what this controller does. Okay. So now it's up to 325 already. It's counting up.
Gotcha.
So now we got to turn the program. Okay. So now, when you're doing, you come out here and it's holding at 1800. And you go, okay, now I want to start my reduction cycle. So what you do is you take over manually. You come in here like this. Go to manual. Go to manual on. Boom. Now, when you go back to the main screen, it'll tell you, see, this went up to 2. It was -3 because it was calling for gas. So it raises the percentage. So when you come out at 1800 degrees and you turn on manual, it'll tell you where the controller had the gas. 20 some degrees, 30%, 20. It'll tell you the percentage that it had the valve open to maintain 1800.
Okay.
So you say, okay, I'm going to start reduction. I'm going to take and raise that. You just push the up arrow. I'm going to raise that percentage, get more gas. Oops. Oh, it started to come on.
Yep.
See, it's coming out. See. Okay. So I got more gas. I start dampering it down. I get my reduction, and then you can see 1800. You might see a little bit of flame. Now you'll have to use the paper. And then bottom peephole, you come with a piece of paper, like so, and you'll see a little burn spot in the paper. That means you got that back pressure. If you don't see the flame.
Okay.
By about 1900 degrees or so, well, here I don't know if you'll see it because it's so light. You might have to shade this a little bit with a piece of metal.
Okay.
You see a little flame, and it's so light out here too that you may not see any flame here, but you'll smell the raw gas. So you would raise the gas, damper it down, and then once you get reduction, you have to look at the PV and make sure you have a heat rise. And that heat rise should be around 2-3 degrees per minute.
Okay.
So that's about 150 to 180 degrees an hour.
Okay.
Once you have that heat rise, then you're okay. You can let it fire. So then hour later, you come back. If it's stalled out, if it's not going anywhere, then you got to make an adjustment. You might have to give it more gas, or you may have to open the damper a little bit to get the temperature rising.
Okay.
But you got to maintain.
When I want to take it out of reduction.
Well,
to be
no,
clear.
you got to maintain the reduction too.
Oh, okay.
So now, I'm not certain. Let's see, cone 5. So maybe because we normally when we do cone 10, we sort of ease off on the reduction when cone 8 hits. Because by that point, by cone 8, the glazes start to melt. And so the reduction doesn't do much. The reduction is over.
Yeah.
So we just leave a little bit of reduction in there to keep the heat down at the bottom.
Okay.
Because the flue's down here. And normally with this downdraft kiln, the coolest part is on the bottom. Because that's where the flue is. Everything's like rushing out. So we'll maintain a little bit of reduction and then finish up the firing.
And how long should it hold in reduction?
Well, normally when we do a cone 10 firing, we like to see 3 hours in reduction.
Oh, okay.
Now, with the cone 5, it may be less than that.
And I won't know until I try some firings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or talk to somebody that's doing cone 5 reduction.
Okay.
Because this is what I sold a couple of kilns, and these people doing cone 5, 6,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know too much about it, so I asked them, well, okay, how we doing it? Well, we just take the reaction all the way up till the end, and then they oxidize a little bit at the end.
And oxidation that's when it's
You wouldn't see much flame at all.
okay.
But you don't want to oxidize too much because you start cooling the bottom off, because the burners down there and the secondary air comes in. Don't put dampers open too much. The air short circuits right across the bottom, and it keeps cooling the bottom off.
Okay.
But you'll have to see. I think I don't think you'll have too much problem if you take it a light reduction. You start at pretty heavy reduction,
Uh-huh.
and then as you go up, if you open the damper to keep the temperature up, the reduction will ease off by itself. It will slow down by itself, the reduction.
Okay.
And so that's what we normally do with cone 10. We hit it hard at this beginning,
Uh-huh.
and then as we go up in temperature, the temperature rises, the reduction drops. So
All
by the time
right.
we get to cone 10, the reduction is down there at minimum, a little bit, and we're at cone 10. So you see how it goes. It goes temperature up, reduction down.
Okay. So what I'm probably going to try and do is take it for a test drive with nothing in it, so I
Well,
can.
put some piece. Okay.
Well, I'm just talking about with programming. I want to make sure.
Okay, yeah. No, here's what you do. Just get make some test tiles. Some little,
I've got those.
okay. Put your shelves in there.
Uh-huh.
Do your setting. Put the test tiles around.
Okay.
A few test tiles.
Okay.
And just do a firing.
Okay.
Don't waste gas, because this kiln is so easy to fire. Don't wait, and do the firing. Document everything. All your percentages, where you change the percentage for
Yeah.
reduction, you
Yeah.
document. Okay, I started at 12 o'clock,
Uh-huh.
whatever time. But percentage of gas, the temperature is this, the time is this. The flue setting, the damper setting was this. Document all that.
The
Because if you're lucky and you get a good firing, you want to be able to repeat that firing.
Well, yeah. So the reason I said I want to take it for a test drive is bisque. I know I can set it and kind of forget it.
Yeah.
It's when I get to the glaze firing, I want to make sure I'm hitting the right switches and programs so I don't shut myself off right in the middle of a firing.
No, you won't. As
Okay.
long as you, like what I say, as long as you go into manual control and
Uh-huh.
take over manually. Now, by the way, when you get done with this firing in your manual control, you got to take the manual and turn it to off.
Okay.
Because if you forget and you start the program and the manual is on, it's going to do what the manual says. Whatever's in the manual setting, that's what's going to be when you start off.
Okay. So when I'm done doing the reduction, I take it off manual.
Uh-huh.
So it goes back into automatic mode and it shuts itself off.
Well,
Is that what I'm understanding?
no. When you're
Okay.
when you're done with the firing,
Yeah.
you simply shut everything down.
Okay.
Turn the gas off, close the damper in, and then you can go in. Let's say you have it on manual mode, which would be
Uh-huh.
you go into manual mode. It'll say on, then you just press the select, go to off, turn it off. Now, before I missed a point. Hold on. Before you go, let me go back to manual mode. Okay, you're going to have this thing on manual mode, and it's going to be a percentage because you ended the firing. So you've got to bring the manual mode down to -3, then turn it off.
Okay.
Because if you don't, it's going to remember that, and when you turn the kiln on, it's going to surge. So you want to make sure that manual, before you turn the manual mode off, the manual setting is always -3.
Okay.
Just starting with everything off. Yeah.
Okay. So in a sense, when I do that, then do I flip any switches here to turn off
Oh yeah, you can
this
turn
whole
it, yeah,
unit
you can
and
turn
then
this
turn
yeah.
off the gas, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, you can turn off the gas first,
Okay.
and then
Close the damper
and then
then
close this. Or if you're in a panic,
Uh-huh.
just if you turn off the main right here,
Yeah.
everything goes
Off. Okay.
You know.
That's the safety feature
Yeah,
I needed to
everything
know.
will go off. Now it's on high limit, so if you're going to do the glaze firing, reduction glaze firing, you want to put it on soak
Reduction on soak.
because you don't want the alarm shutting you down.
Okay. So what I'm gonna I'm gonna